Have you ever met someone who, in the beginning, felt extraordinary? They were charming, confident, intense. They seemed to understand you better than anyone ever had. But slowly, something changed. You started doubting your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own memory. This is where many people get trapped without realizing it. Relationships with individuals who show narcissistic personality patterns often begin with admiration and emotional intensity, but over time, they can turn into a subtle psychological battlefield, one that leaves you drained, confused, and questioning yourself. This video isn't here to judge anyone. It's here to help you see clearly. You're not weak. You're not stupid. You're not too sensitive. You may simply be dealing with a psychological pattern that is structured, consistent, and often invisible from the outside. When you try to explain yourself, you're told you're overreacting. When you set boundaries, you're called selfish. And when you finally get tired, you end up feeling guilty. That's the most dangerous trap of all, losing trust in your own reality. Understanding the pattern is the first step out of the cycle. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with calm awareness. Because not every conflict needs to be won, and not every person can be changed. Right here, we build the most important foundation. You are allowed to have your own reality. If you felt like you're playing on a field where the rules constantly change, that's not an accident. That's a pattern. And patterns are not fought with emotion. They are addressed with awareness and strategy. Number 1. Recognize the pattern without obsessing over labels. Dealing with narcissistic behavior isn't about diagnosing or labeling someone. It's about noticing repeated patterns that affect your well-being. Many people stay stuck because they focus on intention instead of impact. You might tell yourself, "They're actually a good person," or "They're just hurt." Meanwhile, you're the one slowly shrinking. These patterns often involve a deep need for validation, emotional control, and difficulty taking responsibility. But what makes it exhausting isn't just the traits, it's how everything is wrapped in logical-sounding explanations. You get pulled into debates about your own perception. You're asked to explain your feelings over and over until even you feel confused. This is where you stop seeking justification and start observing consistency. Do conflicts always end with you apologizing? Are your feelings often dismissed with clever logic? Shift your focus from words to impact. Your body feels tense. Your mind feels crowded. Your emotions feel drained. That's not random. That's information. This isn't about proving who's right. It's about acknowledging what's happening. Number 2. Gaslighting and the loss of self-trust. Gaslighting is one of the most powerful manipulation tools. It's a gradual process that makes you question your memory, judgment, and emotions. It rarely comes with shouting. It comes with calm tones, small smiles, and a voice that sounds like the most reasonable person in the room. You're told you misunderstood. You're too emotional. You're imagining things. At first, you defend yourself. Eventually, you get tired. And when you stop trusting yourself, you become easier to control. The solution isn't collecting more evidence or arguing harder. That often fuels the game. The key is returning to yourself. Write down what you feel, not to attack, but to remember. Validate your emotions without needing their agreement. Your reality is valid even if they deny it. When you stop seeking validation from the person who benefits from your confusion, the fog begins to lift. It may feel lonely at first, but it restores your power. Number 3. Boundaries are not walls, they're maps. Many people fear setting boundaries because they don't want to seem cold or selfish. But boundaries are not walls, they're maps. They show where you end and someone else begins. In manipulative dynamics, boundaries are often tested, not to understand them, but to push past them. Every time you over-explain, you create openings. Every time you negotiate your basic needs, you weaken your own position. Healthy boundaries are simple, consistent, and calm. Not emotional, not threatening, not defensive. They're not meant to change the other person. They're meant to protect you. And their reaction to your boundary will tell you everything you need to know. If your calm limit triggers anger or guilt tripping, that's a sign the boundary is necessary. You are not responsible for someone else's discomfort when you start respecting yourself. Number 4, let go of the need to be understood. One of the deepest traps is the need to be understood by someone who benefits from misunderstanding you. You might think, if I could just explain it the right way, they would finally get it. But in these patterns, understanding is often not the goal. Control is. The more you explain, the more material can be twisted. Letting go of the need to be understood isn't giving up. It's choosing a battle worth fighting. Your energy is better spent healing than convincing. Every time you choose calm silence over another exhausting explanation, you take a piece of your power back. Emotional maturity sometimes looks like stepping back, but in reality, it's a strategic move to protect your sanity. Number 5, emotional regulation in the face of provocation. Subtle provocation is often used to pull you back into old reactions. A dismissive tone, a sarcastic comment, sudden coldness. If you react emotionally, the focus shifts from their behavior to your reaction. That's why emotional regulation is key, not to suppress feelings, but to manage them so they can't be used against you. Pause, breathe, create space between the trigger and your response. Not every emotion needs to be expressed immediately. Choosing when and where to process your feelings is strength, not weakness. Your calm is not defeat, it's control. Number 6, when you start losing yourself. One of the quietest effects of manipulative relationships is the loss of your sense of self. Not because you're weak, but because you've been adjusting yourself for too long just to avoid conflict. Little by little, you stop saying what you think. You filter your personality. You silence natural reactions. Eventually, you feel disconnected from yourself. You're tired but don't know why. Empty but can't explain it. At this stage, this is no longer about them. It's about reclaiming you. Noticing that you've changed isn't failure. It's an alarm. The first step isn't confrontation. It's honest acknowledgement. I've abandoned my own needs for too long. When you begin listening to your feelings without filtering whether they'll be accepted, you start reclaiming lost parts of yourself. It may feel uncomfortable at first, even scary, because you're used to putting yourself last. But without a solid sense of self, no strategy will truly work. Healing means daring to exist fully as yourself, even if that becomes uncomfortable for others. If this resonates with you, it's not because you're weak. It's because you're becoming aware. Share your experience or perspective in the comments. Sometimes we don't heal from advice, we heal from realizing we're not alone. And subscribe Daily Inspiration for more discussions about psychological dynamics that are rarely talked about, but quietly affect so many lives. This space is for those of you learning to choose yourselves. Slowly, gently, consistently.